All right, we are recording. I guess I will start the call to order. It's January 2nd, 5:30 PM, and this is the Bylaws Subcommittee meeting. All right, do you just want to start right off from the beginning?
Oh, we have public comment.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Public comment? No,
Not at the beginning, maybe at the end.
okay.
Sure, so I want to start by saying thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
I could have never done this. I was going through this, going, God, she's so thorough, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, I don't know where you want to start, Christine.
I guess we'll just start on number one. There was a misspelling in the original one. It just says State of New Hampshire, which are herein incorporated by reference. It should be incorporated.
Yeah.
So we can add that.
Are you in the first paragraph?
Yes.
Line 4-ish?
Yes. Okay. Yep. Oh, no, you know what? It is in there. I'm sorry. My thing didn't pick it up for whatever reason. Never mind. Does anyone have any changes for section 1 name? Nope. Okay. Membership and vacancies. Board shall be composed of 7 registered voters, duly elected by ballot annually for a 3-year term. Should a vacancy arise for any reason, the Board of Trustees, pursuant to RSA 202-A:10, shall recommend to the Town Council a qualified individual, it should be individuals.
Can we
For-
do like a parentheses, S parentheses?
Yep.
Would that work?
Yep. For appointment to the vacancy until the next town election. Any changes?
I just made a note here. I don't know if we want to add this here or elsewhere, but I would like to add that our trustees need to hold a current library card.
Okay,
So I don't know if we want to put this here or someplace else in the bylaws.
okay.
That's just a suggestion.
This is, we should probably talk about alternate members. too.
Yep. So we're allowed up to 3, I believe? 3 alternates,
Yep.
which would, the town council would appoint with the trustees
For 1 year.
for 1-year term.
Isn't that somewhere else in here?
For alternates, no.
It is in the New Hampshire RSA.
Oh, maybe that was what I was thinking of. Yeah, okay. So your point is that you think that should go here, up to 3 alternates, under membership and vacancies?
Yes.
Okay.
So do we want to have 3? Do we want 2?
Ugh.
Thoughts?
I think that we should be prepared. If we need 3, we need 3.
You can have up to 3.
Up to, that's items, right,
Yeah.
I get that.
I don't have an issue with it, I just don't know, are they gonna be able to get people to do this?
Well, there is that.
That's my only concern. I don't.
Well, I mean, if we
don't
put
have an
in up to
objection,
3, I mean,
but-
if they can get people, they can. If they can't, then I guess they can't.
And follow-up question would just be like, what parameters would we have for them if someone were not here and they were to come up, what parameters would there be?
I'm not sure.
Like, what do you mean by that? Where,
Like, what would be the rules for them?
would they be the same as for us?
Yeah, I would imagine they'd be the same for us. I mean, I don't think, to be honest, I don't think they'd have a hard time finding, I mean, seeing as what the amount of people that were running for Board of Trustees were for the past 2 elections, there were a lot of people. So I don't think there would be an issue finding 3 people
Okay.
that would want to sit in.
So are you phrasing this just to make sure I'm on the same page as up to 3, or are you putting 3?
Up to 3.
Okay. And you said the town council appoints?
Yes.
We recommend.
Moving on, 3.1.
Yep.
Officers shall be chairperson, vice chair, secretary, and a treasurer, elected from among members of the board for a one-year term at the first trustee meeting following the town elections. That's pretty standard. I don't think there's any issues with that. 3.2, chairperson shall preside at all meetings of the board, authorize calls for any special meetings, appoint all committees, execute all documents authorized by the board, and generally perform all duties associated with that office. I don't see any.
The only thing I was gonna say you could add was the agenda, just to make it clear, the agenda
Oh,
is the
yeah.
responsibility of the chair.
Yep.
And on that note, I don't know if we want to add this here or elsewhere, but generally speaking, the agenda is set by the chair and the director of the library, correct?
No, it's
It's just the chair.
The chair doesn't work with the library director to put items on the agenda?
That's never been how I did it, so.
Oh, it's always the way it was on the school board. So like if Erin's got something big coming up that she wants to talk about, she doesn't talk with the chair to say, gee, I think we need to get this item on the agenda?
I think she can
Anyone
recommend it,
request to be
yeah.
on the agenda.
Yeah.
Anyone can. I mean, even a member of the public can.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I thought you meant typing it up, because
No.
that's a totally different thing.
No.
All right, 3.3, the vice chair, in the event of the absence or disability of the chair or of a vacancy in that office, shall assume and perform the duties and functions of the chairperson.
Yes.
Any changes? 3.4, the recording secretary shall keep a true and accurate record of all meetings of the board, provide a copy of the minutes to each board member, place a copy of the minutes in a permanent record at town hall with the town clerk, and maintain the trustee file at the library, which should include trustee minutes, librarian reports, and board-related materials. In the absence or inability of the secretary, the duty shall be performed by another member that the chairperson shall designate. We need to make sure we have a trustee file because I don't
I was
think
gonna
we
say, do
have
do that
one.
now?
No.
You don't do that now?
I mean, we have our folders, but I wouldn't consider that a file.
That's, no.
If there is one, I'm not aware of it.
I'm not aware of there being a repository at the town, because I thought the town was using the library, so I think that's something.
I can email Erin
wondering
and just
about.
to confirm. But I guess other than that, are there any changes that you guys would like to see on this?
Sounds okay.
3.5, the treasurer shall be the dispersing officer of the board, sign all checks, pay bills in a timely manner, establish and maintain separate accounts for books and fines, trustee activities, and a building fund, reconcile bank statements monthly, and present a quarterly financial report to the board. In the absence or inability of the treasurer, the duty shall be performed by any member that the chairperson shall designate. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it should be a monthly financial report, not a quarterly.
I agree. That was my note on this.
And I also had a question on how we do this stuff is a little confusing because we have the town paying some things and we're paying some things. So how, I know I've asked this question, because I'm just trying to figure out how we reconcile all this stuff. I mean, I'm sure Justin does some of it, but I don't know if we ever see that.
Like a ledger sheet?
Anything. I mean, I've only seen the budgeting sheet and the treasurer's report, and that's it. I mean, I haven't seen anything else.
So you want an itemization of expenses? What are you asking for here?
I'm just asking how we reconcile the fact that we have two sources sort of managing accounts.
I'm not sure that's necessary.
I think it would be helpful. I mean, even if they just color code it so we know what the town's paying, like if there was attorney fees versus what is coming out of the library budget versus what the town is covering.
So that you want, how do you put that in bylaws? Is that where, what that should live in your bylaws?
Well, I'm not sure if it needs to be in the bylaws, but I was just commenting on how maybe that could be addressed.
I see what you're saying, okay, I agree. I don't know that it has to live here, but if what you're saying is you'd like to see who pays what, where, when, why, and how, I agree, that would be helpful. And I think that's something that we can direct Aaron to do, to direct the town to get that information for us. I don't know that it needs to live here.
Yeah, because if we're saying it's a monthly financial report
Yeah.
to the board,
Yeah.
we're getting it, we just need to clarify how we want to get that.
Okay, well, can I then just suggest
Sure.
that we make a note on that and maybe maybe we have to address it somewhere else?
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I think that, we don't get a lot of information to know about the spending, and that's somewhat confusing, it's sort of muddy.
Yeah, I'd like to know where we're spending our money. Yep.
all right, 3.6. And, so just, I guess to recap, the only thing we're changing in 3.5 is to change it from quarterly to monthly?
Yes.
Okay. 3.6, the event that an officer shows gross negligence or constitute failure or refusal to perform his, her duties, or misses 3 consecutive meetings, he, she may be removed from office upon a 2/3 vote of the board. Notice that such a vote is to take place shall be made at the meeting preceding the meeting at which the vote is to take place.
And I would like to clarify that and say that should be voted on in a public meeting.
So, shall be made at the
Yep,
public meeting proceeding?
there you go. You better watch it, Christine, we're gonna make you do this all the time.
Maybe I should. Okay. Duties and obligations. Section 1, the board. The trustees are the governing board of the library, RSA 202-2:2, Roman numeral 2. They shall have the entire custody and management of the library and all of the property of the town related thereto. I have no issues with that.
I don't even-
Maura?
No, that seems pretty straightforward.
All right. 1.2, the trustees shall adopt bylaws, rules, and regulations for its own transaction of business and for government of the library, RSA 202-A:11, Roman numeral 1. No changes?
Do we have anything in here where it says we use Robert's rules for the conducting of
We
business?
do, it's deeper in here.
Okay,
But
I
yeah.
thought I saw it somewhere, I
Yeah,
just
it
wanted to
is.
make sure.
It's on page 4, under Article 3 meetings.
Okay. All right, 1.3, the library director shall prepare and the board shall review, modify, and approve the annual budget for the operating and maintenance of the library from public funds and such other reports as required by law. I'm not going to read out the RSAs.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's okay.
Do you have any changes?
No.
All right, trustees shall expend all monies raised and appropriated by the town for library purposes and any income from trust funds, period. All money received from fines and payments for lost and damaged books and circulated materials shall be held in a non-lapsing separate fund and shall be in addition to the appropriation.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because we still haven't got to the bottom of those trust funds that we have. That-
Maura got some information.
Yeah, I'm gonna distribute it, but there's two basically, there's not a lot of money in them.
Yeah,
we can only spend the interest components,
Right,
and we don't have the documents that govern how they can be spent.
right.
That's the biggest problem.
You do on one of them.
I think
The
that,
book one, yes, you are correct.
One of them, I think it's the one from 1926. There's the paper in there from the people who put in who said suitable books for the library. The other one had nothing on.
That's the coffin one, correct?
Yes.
I think that for this document, it would be helpful to have some kind of information that we have trust funds available to us, you know, and that we don't manage them, do we, Moira?
The trustee of the trusts has
Yeah.
managed them.
And I'm thinking that it would be helpful to have some kind of a report. It's because, I mean, this just came up in September or October that we had trust funds, and we're all like, really? How much money? You know?
Yeah.
How do you use them? How do you expend them? No, none of us knew anything.
Right.
So I'm wondering if here in our bylaws, we can make reference to that we do have trust funds available and that we should receive some kind of reporting, perhaps quarterly, from the trustee of the trust funds.
But the only issue is there's a New Hampshire state law that says we're required to do the report on the trust funds. We have to do something and turn it over to the New Hampshire Charitable Trust.
Then how do we get information from the trustee of the trust funds to let us know what's in those pots of money
They generate an M9 statement.
at the end of the year?
MS9.
MS9,
So
sorry.
that's not really helpful monthly, though, that's what I'm saying.
It's not helpful monthly, but I think you'll find it's negligible monthly because it's not a
Well,
whole
no,
lot
I
of money.
agree, but it's still a trust fund that belongs to us, and it would be helpful to know, you know, what money is in it and what, if anything, we can do with it, which is virtually nothing, but still, it would be helpful to know what we have.
Right.
I mean, here's the other thing, someone ponies up to the microphone and talks to us about our trust funds and how much money is in them, and we're like, well, I don't know, well, that's a bad look. You know, we didn't know anything until Justin came in.
Yeah.
So I just think that we need to have knowledge, and if it's not in this document, that's fine, but we have to have knowledge.
Well, we haven't, this report that we're supposed to do for New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, I think there were some emails that indicated that it hadn't been filed in something like over 20 years.
Yeah.
We've had the trust for like over 100 years. So I was also going to recommend that we assign someone on the trustees to generate the report or work towards generating the report or be responsible for the report.
Sure.
And that should probably be from the secretary.
If that's who you guys would want to do as the responsible party.
Well, then maybe that's what we put in the bylaw. We charge the treasurer or the secretary with getting us that report. However, and you know, the trustees can vote on this because I might be out in left field, but, you know, and then we can get the information.
So we could technically put something like that in,
It could theoretically also go under the section where it's,
talks about the officers and just do another
Okay.
line
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
maybe do, like, call it 3.6, and then we'll change 3.6 to 3.7. And then we'll say, the treasurer and secretary
there you go.
will work together towards producing and filing.
Yes, yes.
What is it, MS9?
MS9.
MS9 to be filed
Well,
yearly?
The MS9 is something that they do. This report has to be generated specifically for New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, so it's not, the MS9 shows you how much money is in the account and what the interest is.
Okay, so producing and filing document for New Hampshire Charitable
Yeah,
Association?
in compliance with the RSA 202,
Hold on.
812.
Compliance with RSA 202. And that's a yearly basis, right?
It's yearly and it's supposed to be done, I believe, 2 months after we close out our year. But I do think we should get on that because we shouldn't have outstanding reports
Right.
not turned in. That's
Well, we should.
not great.
So that's something that we should address at the next board meeting, because I don't think this will be ready. It may be ready by the next board meeting to show to everyone as a rough draft, but that's something that we should put on the agenda
Yeah.
and vote on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't even think it's that hard to do the report, it's just that you have to actually look at the stuff and put it together.
But I just want to be clear, you're not suggesting that information is going to live in the bylaws?
I just think we need to assign someone to do the report
Yes,
so it's
okay.
done in.
Okay, so
there's
the MS9 and the charitable fund, that's not, your vision is not to have that here?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so it was, but we're adding this section into the here, right? To have the treasurer and secretary will work together?
Yes.
Okay, so it was RSA 202,
I believe it was 202-A12A.
dash
No, okay.
12A.
Specific, I can look for that too.
Yes,
Okay.
And you don't have to
annual
worry about
reports.
the MS9 that's filed by Justin.
Okay,
So that's under,
That's one of the things they use to set your tax rate.
A-12 for annual reports,
so 202-A:12.
:12, annual reports.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anything else under that one? So we just move to 1.4.
Actually, since we're talking about the MS9, have you ever gotten that in a meeting?
I don't even know. I
You're
don't
not-
recall seeing one. I went through recently and redid my files, and I don't remember seeing.
I think it should be a public document, but maybe we can even say that one person is responsible for getting that MS9 and distributing it to the board.
So the MS9 is a byproduct of this document that gets generated for the New Hampshire Charitable Trust, is that correct?
The MS9 is basically a statement that shows the account and how much interest it's accrued. It's a basic financial statement to show that we have these trusts and that they're accruing X amount of interest, and I think it's important for us to know that. So if we could even just say, even if you wanted to make it broader than that and say the treasurer will gather documents that show interest and funds, anything that's coming in.
What's already all done for you,
What is?
when you drive on what Justin has it, he has to file it,
Yes, Justin has to file it, but I don't believe any trustees have seen it.
just ask for a copy.
So we can say trustee will get a copy of the MS9, MS9 from town treasurer and distribute to all trustees. Is a year, I'm assuming yearly basis?
Yearly, yeah.
Yearly.
Okay, so I can add that to head secretary, so we'll add it to 3.5. All right, 1.4, oh, we just read that one. So there's no changes on actual 1.4, we're just adding it further up, correct?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the circulating materials covers the DVDs, and we really don't charge for the lost books anyway, so.
Okay.
I'm not late. Lost books we do charge for, not late books.
1.5, trustees shall appoint a librarian whose title shall be library director and who is not a trustee. Trustees shall appoint all other employees of the library in consultation with the library director and determine their compensation in terms of employment. And that's state law, so we can't really change that. .6, trustees may receive, invest, and administer directly any trust funds and donations when so specified by the donor. Didn't we recently come across that not too long ago?
We did, and And yes, and I'm glad we're talking about this because I was gonna address that tonight, because that was the whole computer thing. And we have evidently a protocol. So I think that we've got to clarify that a little bit in here, because there are sometimes there are donations, obviously, that we want to accept and we will accept, and others that have to go through a process and a protocol, and then it may be determined either by the library director or the trustees that donation is not appropriate, and that we should have some language here to reflect that, I think.
So I know at one point, every month, there were books and other things that were donated. Then Erin said that she didn't think we needed to know that information anymore. So, if I remember correctly, they said, okay, let Erin just do her job, and that didn't need to be. She said that she was only doing it because that's what was being done before.
So was that relative to the computers?
No, it was just about books in general,
Okay.
because there were issues with books that people donated that were questioned after, like why weren't they put out on shelves, and I think that's what led into the whole discussion of her not referencing those books anymore. So I think if we want to if we want to specify one thing, we have to, it can't just be like for a specific kind of donations. If it's gonna be a donation, then
It's gotta be for all. Yeah.
yes.
I mean, even for cash?
Well, I mean, I think they still do. We still have to vote on money donated, don't we, every month? So if it's a gift card, that would be considered cash. So we have to approve to accept those. So I would say that if we're doing it for a few things, we should do it for everything.
That sounds like a headache.
I think it really just says that we're able to
Accept donations.
accept it. Yeah.
2, well, we vote on them anyway, right? So we can either vote to approve or not approve.
So I mean, in the case of the 700 whatever dollars that was donated to the library from the Old Home Day,
Oh, yeah.
so specified by the donor, but the donor couldn't specify what that money was used for.
And they shouldn't. I mean, they're making.
Right, but I'm just saying it said donations when so specified by the donor. So that, I would think that needs to get changed to,
Well, let's read the RSA. 23. Nothing in this chapter shall preclude the library trustees from accepting, receiving, investing, and administrating directly any trust funds and donations when so specified by the donor. Library trustees administering and investing such special funds shall be governed by the provision of RSA 31:25, RSA 31, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I felt like that was more for libraries that had endowments regardless, but
I'm sorry?
libraries that have endowments where they have millions of dollars that they're running, I mean, we don't have that. Our stuff is on a much smaller scale.
So do you,
Doesn't mean we won't in the future, but
Good point, that's probably true. Then I think that this is okay the way it is, Christine.
leave it?
Yeah.
You okay with leaving it? Okay. All right. 1.7, trustees may recommend to the town council names of persons for appointment to vacancies on an expired term of any trustee.
Yep, that's fine.
well, I just wanted to clarify, what do they mean by expired term?
I think misworded it because the state law has expired too. I think it's supposed to say unexpired.
So
You
do
can't
we,
appoint somebody to an expired term.
so
Yeah, I was
should,
gonna say,
do we
isn't that
correct
the
it to
election?
unexpired?
The funny part about that is the state has it written as expired also. I think they got it wrong when the bylaws were, whenever they were done. They just kind of mirrored it. How do you appoint somebody to an expired term? You can't. It has to be an unexpired term.
No, I guess if that's, if it specifically says expired term for the state, then we should probably just leave it as is.
You'd have to, my suggestion would be to get a state rep in here and have them look into that and see if it was just worded wrong at the state level. Because then you can always very easily change it later.
Okay.
But think about it, how do you
Well, I
appoint
can
somebody
ask,
to an expired term?
The legislative administrative committee.
Okay. That'd be good. Alright. 1.8, trustees in consultation with the library director may discharge or remove any employee of the library for malfeasance, misfeasance, or inefficiency in office, or incapacity or unfitness to perform his or her duties. So I think that's per state law, so I don't think there's anything really to change in that. Library director shall be appointed by the Board of Trustees for a term of employment and salary agreed to at a time of employment, and then it references the 2 RSAs. I think we should have something in here. I know Erin technically does not have a contract, but I think we should start a contract. Just something that could be looked at, whatever the board decides, whether it's yearly or bi-yearly. But yeah, it should be a contract with, expectations, her job description once that gets finalized. But yeah, I think something like that should be. I'm sorry?
Is she a member of a union?
I don't believe so.
I don't think you can be as a manager, like the town manager's
And
not.
I may question the use of the word contract, but we might want some other kind of document for her.
So how,
I don't know. I mean, she's reviewed annually, correct?
she is.
Just the RSA say.
But, I mean, the town manager has a contract,
We're not like the town,
not exactly, but,
right? Librarian shall have this doesn't even address that, all right. A librarian shall be appointed by the Board of Library Trustees for a term of office agreed to at the time of employment and may serve until a successor is appointed. So if you wanted to have something specifically drawn up about her term, she starts on this date and ends on this date and is reviewed after this date, that would be fine, but I don't think that we're going to be able to put together a contract for her.
I think we'd have to have some type of understanding of what the job expectations would be also, just so she knows, I mean.
right, that's what I'm
That's
saying. I
only
mean, once we get her job description ironed out, just something to, like a yearly, in addition to her review, that gets signed off on. And if anything in her job description changes, it would get updated there.
So are we thinking we would do like a term of 1 year and then when we did the review, we would update?
That's what I was thinking, but I'm just throwing it out there for
I'm
thoughts.
trying to make that fit to the RSA. Shall be appointed by the board of library trustees for a term of office agreed to at the time of employment and may serve until a successor is appointed and qualified.
So this says, ours says Board of Trustees for a term of employment, and that said term of office for employment?
Yep.
Office for employment, so we should add that.
Because you can't have an indefinite term.
Right.
You'd have to put something for it to be a term.
How about the word renew? Shall be renewed annually based on outcome of her review or whatever you want to write.
So,
I don't think that
it would be a new one. It would be a new one. And she could,
Yeah.
it would be a new one, right?
I just question the word contract because what if she decides to leave? Then we have to buy her out. Well, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of money.
Not if you put a buyout clause in there. It says if she leaves on her own. Look at the town managers.
Again, we're not like exactly like the town.
But it's
So-
the same type of position.
I understand, but what I'm saying is I think that once we start using that word contract, I think that we're gonna be spending money on her contract.
so what do we call it, terms of employment?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, so library director, terms of employment. Document shall be reviewed
Yep.
yearly
Annually, yep.
or annually at library director's annual review. Are you both okay with that?
Read it to me, okay, I'm sorry, read it to me again.
Sure. So for the whole thing was library director shall be appointed by the Board of Trustees for a term of office for employment and a salary agreed to at the time of employment. Then library director, terms of employment document shall be reviewed annually at library director's annual review.
Yeah, so if I were just to speak for another trustee of then we bring it to them, they're gonna ask us, what does that mean? What's an annual document? What's in the document? So what is your vision of what's in the document?
Just what her expectations are, her job description, expectations.
Would that include like the goals?
I would think so. Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I'd have to think about that. I don't think the goals would have to be in there because the goals would change yearly. And I don't think this would change very much, if at all, once we get the job description
Yeah,
agreed on.
yeah.
But it would have the dates, you know, her anniversary date for a yearly, for, you know, the following year.
I think until the board reviews this, let's keep this fairly vague and then we can iron out the details once we get her job description, you know, and her terms of employment, all of that in here, because, I mean, we don't want to have to be changing this a million times, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Okay. All right, any other comments?
So I had a question about the next one, 2.1A. So let's just say that she does have to go out on, you know, disability or whatever, family crisis. Where would we find an interim library director? Do we just advertise for that?
Well, we have an assistant director.
That's right, I was gonna
You
say,
can,
do
or
we
you could
just
go
promote
internally or,
or
yeah.
temporarily
Yeah.
promote the assistant?
I think you have multiple options. I think it would be, you know, we could do someone internally, we could try and see someone externally, we could, I think we have a lot of options.
Okay.
Do we want to call that out?
I also
Here?
think that's unlikely to happen,
Right,
but
right. No, I was just thinking about that. I was like, God, what if something happened to her? Would we just move Donna? And then, I mean, Donna's the assistant, so then would we get an interim assistant for her?
I don't know.
Let's hope it never happens, you're right. But, I mean, we have to be prepared. I don't know.
Well, you know what you could do is put like, crisis chain of command question mark, and then we could have a
We'll talk
broader
about it as a
discussion
board,
about
we'll
it.
have the board figure it out. Good point, Moira.
What did you say, crisis management?
There you go.
Yes. Crisis management chain of command.
I like that.
All right, 2.2, library director shall be the administrative officer of the library. He, she shall be responsible for the proper direction and supervision of the staff for the care and maintenance of library property, for an adequate and proper selection of books and materials in keeping with the stated policy of the board, for the efficiency of the library service to the public and for the financial operation within the limitation of the library's budget as approved by the board. Now, this last sentence should be removed. In the case of substitute temporary employees, the library director shall have the interim authority to appoint without prior approval of the board, provided that any such appointment shall be reported to the board at its next regular meeting. That goes against state law, so that whole last sentence should be removed.
And which is the RSA on that?
It's in the front,
Where did I put my stuff?
202-A:11B or 5.
11B. Hours and duties? Is that where you are?
It was under 1.5.
1.5. 202, 8.11, where is it, Moira?
So the part about the, hold on one second, let me just.
202A:11, then rule 5.
Yeah.
5.
Well, it's also 202-8:22
Yeah, it's a couple places.
because we are responsible for the custody and management of the library overall. But we also have the duty to appoint the librarian who's not a trustee, and the trustees will appoint all other employees of the library in consultation with the library director and determine their compensation, which is RSA 202-8:11.
Yep, you're right, that's gotta go.
I do have one question on this, just so we can clarify this too. It's okay for us to say, just for laughs, right? That the financial operation is kind of split because some of it's the treasurer and some of it's the town. So if we leave this like that, are we adequately reflecting that? That's okay?
By removing this sentence?
No, not the stuff at the bottom, but the part where it says,
And for the financial operation within the limitations of the library's budget?
right, so if that clause is there, does that mean that's okay? Because we have two people doing financial components?
Proper selection. Which sentence is that, Moira?
It's
1, 2, 3,
5 down.
5. Starts with efficiency of library service.
Oh, yeah, got it. Or the efficient. Financial operation with limitations of the library's budget was approved by the board. I think that's okay.
As long as it's copacetic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if the other trustees think that it's not, they'll tell us. But I think it's okay. All right.
So 2.3, library director shall recommend to the board of trustees the appointment of all library employees.
And that's in the other section as well, so I think that's not a
Yep.
problem.
So I think it should read, the appointment or termination of all library employees.
Oh, actually, that's all, yep, you're right.
Yep.
Should it be proposed? Should they tell us before?
Well, it says shall recommend to the Board of Trustees,
Okay,
so
gotcha.
she can't do anything until we say it,
Right.
give approval. All right, 2.4, library director may accept and hold books, pamphlets, and public documents sent to the town by state departments and from town officials and make them accessible to the public. I don't have any issues with that. All right, so I have an added section that I was proposing to put in here. For library director shall be knowledgeable of New Hampshire 91A laws and all New Hampshire RSA laws relating to conducting library business.
Where are you on this?
It's just something I'm
You wanna put a
proposing.
2.5?
So I was thinking of doing a 2.5 with something to that language.
Hold that thought, because I had some thoughts too, and maybe we can put these all together. I think that we as trustees should also provide ourselves professional development, particularly for new trustees, because there's a lot that goes on here.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn, RSAs, who does what, law, etc. And, I mean, none of us have been given, not to my knowledge, maybe you did.
No,
You did training,
no.
I mean, we all just get dumped in here.
Yep,
You know, at least the school boards has the School Boards Association, and you can go for continued professional development if you choose to. So I don't know if there's any kind of professional development or training for new trustees, but if there is, we should do it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So maybe this all goes together with, or maybe there's another section in here, I don't know.
yeah, I would add that probably to the front,
Under duties of the,
yeah, under
Duties.
Section
membership
1.
and vacancies, where it kind of goes over all the officers.
Yep,
So we could do like a 3.8.
yeah, that would be good.
I do think, I agree with you, I hope Ken, you know, realistically, we just showed up at the next meeting, and that was it, so
I know,
it would be helpful.
it would be very helpful.
So we'll get into it further, but I have a list of recommended like resource documents that should be provided to all new trustees that I wanted to add to
Good.
this. So I guess for 3.8, how do we want that worded?
Well, now you're getting particular. So I just, I don't know.
Training will be held
Training,
for all new
yeah,
board
Will
members.
be provided for all new board members, so we either go somewhere or we have somebody come here. You know, again, I can't speak for what the sources are, but like the New Hampshire School Boards Association will bring people to your meetings, for example, to talk about a particular topic, whatever it might be. So if that's the easiest way for new board members, that's great, or if we wanna carpool and go to Concord for something, that's fine too. But there's gotta be something. You show up at a meeting, vote on stuff that you don't
Yeah,
even know.
exactly.
You know?
So should we say training will be provided for all new board members?
Yes, training, professional development,
Um,
absolutely.
Maybe put the chair, the chair arranges for it, the chair
Yeah,
provides new and updated information, or
Absolutely.
something of that nature.
Nice welcome packet.
There you
Yeah,
go.
boy.
Right, but a welcome packet, yes, I agree, and I do have a bunch of stuff listed for that, but in terms of providing training,
Municipal Association might have something.
okay,
yeah.
Well, they did, but it was in the summer, and I couldn't get the thing changed over fast enough to get in.
What about the state library? They have to have something, I'm sure.
No, I don't know.
There's gotta be.
I did go to
And
the
then
budget training.
Yeah, what about that trustee, I could get to that with it. That group's gotta have something. They have to.
Well, the budget training was a lot of theoretical.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would caution on because it's not the practical.
No, I'm not saying specifically, but I'm saying they've gotta have some kind of resource available for new trustees.
Or maybe the Secretary of State has someone that they send out to go over,
But I know on the state advisory, you get
RSAs.
a 91A every year.
can you ask someone if that's something that they could? So I guess, let me ask.
I still have to look it up, but yeah, I can ask.
So, all right. Well, I'm just thinking, if it changes year to year, when do you think you would be able to get that information?
Well, I don't think it will take too long.
Okay, so can I just put in a note like that will add more information at the next meeting?
Right, I
Okay.
would say for this evening and this document that we're bringing to the trustees, this doesn't have to be that complex. It can just say the chair will provide any and all training materials, resources, blah, blah, blah. And then we can hammer out the details.
Because what you can do too, Christine, is say suggested materials would include but are not limited to. And then you can list all the stuff, and that way if something goes out,
Yep.
you know, it's just a suggestion.
All right, so I can also say, see section, what did I have it as? See section 4.
Yep. 2.5, is that where you want to put?
No, it,
Oh,
it's under Article 4, and then I have a new section 3 and a new section 4 I wanted to add.
however, you may, I don't know if you want to, this is the book on Robert's Rules of Order. There's a lot to Robert's Rules of Order. And so if we're going to run our meetings by Robert's Rules of Order, we might also want to find someone who can train a chair in terms of Robert's Rules of Order. If this is going to be, you know, our governmental disposition of choice.
I don't disagree with you, but I think it's hard to find people who will do that, you know.
We can look,
Look, we certainly can.
just saying.
Or, I mean, maybe,
I don't disagree with you because it is hard to sit there and be like, okay, and, you
And
know.
then
maybe all new trustees get a copy of that.
And
There is a
and
cheat
maybe
sheet
that's-
that they sell too on Amazon for like 99 cents.
Yeah. But the chair is the one that's gonna
Oh, I
really
have that in there.
be versed on that.
Okay,
That's just an opinion.
okay. All right, so that was, where am I? Okay, so we did 2.4.
But you wanted to write 2.5. Or did you already
So
do
wait,
it?
where are you in this?
Oh,
right now?
yep, so we did 2.4, and I recommended doing a 2.5, which said, library director shall be knowledgeable of all New Hampshire 91A laws and New Hampshire RSA laws relating to conducting library business.
And so with respect to that, does she have a budget for, did we give her a budget for professional development?
Yes.
Okay, so that should be part of her professional development.
So are you saying not to put this in here?
I'm saying we should drop in there as part of professional development, our librarian will be responsible for blah, 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 blah.
Okay. All right.
So that whether it's Aaron or somebody else, that individual knows that as part of their professional development, when they start with us and ongoing, they need to be knowledgeable because laws change.
Yep.
That's, what do you think?
I'm fine with that.
No, I mean, especially with the last, the issue we had with the non-public meeting. That's kind of what drove me to put that in there.
Yeah.
All right. Regular meetings shall be held monthly, the day and hour to be set by the board. July and August may be canceled at the discretion of the trustees and library director. It should be just the trustees.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm gonna make this just a suggestion. I think that probably most of the board agrees that we need to meet during the summer, so I think we can strike, you know, the whole July and August.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, and if you
There.
can't make it, then
can't
that's
make
what
it.
we'll have the alternates for.
That's fine, that's right.
All regular meetings shall be open to the public.
Yep.
All right.
Here's your chance, Christine, this is where you can put in regular meetings shall be held weekly.
Yeah, no, I don't need to come here every week.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be, it may not be a bad idea until we get everything organized to, instead of every 4 weeks, every 3 weeks for a couple of months, like I said, until everything gets ironed out between the bylaws, the job description, everything else,
And
so,
I
but,
agree with you, but I don't think that needs to live
no,
inside.
no, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just responding
Yes,
to her
yeah,
comment.
gotcha.
All right, so, regular meetings, so it says all regular meetings shall be open to the public, but I wanted to add meetings and subcommittee meetings shall be open to the public. So the order of business for regular meetings shall include but not limited to the following items, which shall be covered in the sequence shown so far as circumstances will permit. And I have a lot of changes on this one.
Let it
So,
roll, girl.
so I have A, call to order,
Yep.
B, public comment, C, approval of prior meeting minutes, D, secretary's report, D, treasurer's report, F, library director's report, G, assistant director's report, H, department head reports.
Do we really need all those?
Well, they give them anyway, but they don't, the way it is now, they just kind of hand them out to us and say that we have them.
Well,
But,
can I make this?
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I would like to see in this, in our bylaws, is that we want documents given to us before the meeting. I
Yes,
get really annoyed when I show up at a meeting and they want me to vote on something and I've had 5 minutes to look at it,
Thank you, Nancy.
yeah.
right?
Well, I did request
They
before.
did that once and I went out of my mind.
It's wrong,
It is wrong.
So-
Happens at the planning board all the time,
it's wrong, I agree with you.
So we should do, I mean, 7 days in advance, is that,
at least.
yeah,
Please.
so at a minimum of
It's nice
7
to have at
days.
least a weekend if you have to
You're
review
only
some big
meeting
thing.
Right.
on a monthly basis, so.
And you know what, we can have, we can be responsible for that, we already have little mailboxes up there. All they have to do is put that stuff in our mailbox and we can go get it. We're
No, or
adults.
email it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem, I mean, we used to get email and then we'd have the physical paper at the meeting, and I think that's, in case you can't get in, you can still read, and if there's some huge, like one time they sent out a 600-page document that we had to read in 4 days, so having it, that extra
Sure.
time was just really beneficial.
Of course it is,
So I'll just say, documents,
yes.
set a minimum of 7 days in advance by email
Correct.
and hard copy.
Because
Okay,
you know what, if it happens again, I'm not voting on it,
okay.
Thank you.
just saying.
No, I agree with you.
Makes
Yeah.
me sound like the wicked witch of the west.
Well, no, I brought that up at a meeting before
How
too.
you make a logical decision.
Right,
You're being pressured into it.
especially if it involves money, you know, you gotta look at it, and think about it, and process it.
That's one of the things that has irritated me about these meetings.
Anyway, that's just my point.
So do we want to specifically, we don't need to have, do we want to have director's report? We can have the director's report and then just have the assistant director's report, department heads as hard copies only. They don't need to be reviewed.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. This says town update, which
I think that's because we're supposed to have a liaison.
we have one, but he has never been here.
Who is it?
Yeah, who is it?
It's,
Ted,
Ted Combs. So old business, new business, other business. public comment, and then adjourn.
That's fine. And the other thing about this, and we don't probably need to put this in the bylaws, but it has to be clear moving forward in our agendas, what we are and what we are not voting on. Because ever since I sat on this board, people are like, do we need to vote on that? Do we need to vote on that? Do you need to?
So only
So, for
items
example,
on the agenda will be
school
voted
board-
on?
On the school board agendas, for example, it says deliberations. Anything that is under deliberations is gonna get a vote. Up or down, one way or the other, it's gonna get a vote. And the chair knows, okay, we have to vote on this tonight. So I
Okay.
don't know if we wanna put some kind of language in here about that or not, or if
Okay.
we wanna just leave that to Robert's Rules of Order and have the
No,
chair.
I think it's, I mean, for any new incoming chair that may not be familiar with Robert's rules, at least it'll be spelled out here
Yes,
for
and then
them to
that
be
way
aware of.
he or she knows what we're doing.
Right, okay.
That's just my.
It also helps the public, they'll know what they're voting on.
Exactly
So
right.
If they wanna come to the meeting.
And you know, there are lots of things that we need, if you can do consensus on, like asking, what was the gentleman's name that came to talk to us about the camera equipment?
Drew?
Drew. That doesn't need a vote. You just go, okay, that's consensus, yeah, we'd love for him to come over, boom, done.
Yep.
Nobody has to look around and go, oh, do we need to vote on that or whatever.
Okay. All right. So.
So did you eliminate guest presentations?
No, I never say that.
Nope,
You had a Friday.
I did remove it.
Oh, you
Okay.
did?
I mean, we don't ever have any guest presentations.
Yes, we do. We had
do we?
Justin come, we had Drew come.
Oh,
It's for
okay.
stuff like that, but it shouldn't be first unless they have to leave.
Well, we're gonna have
Just put
somebody
that
come
on
in
as
and
an
provide some
agenda item.
training for us for our new trustees. That might be get guests, wouldn't it?
Yeah, okay, so,
AG's office will come down and do a 91A presentation.
nice,
Be a good one.
Yep.
okay. So we have call to order, public comment, guest presentations, approval of minutes. Do we need a secretary's report? We should have a hard copy,
That's the
but,
minutes. That's kind of the minutes.
okay.
Maybe we could put secretary's report / meeting minutes, something like that.
Well, we have approval of minutes from prior meetings before that. Treasurer's report, we
Yeah.
want that.
Absolutely.
Director's report, yes. So assistant director and department heads are just hard copy only. Old business, new business, other business.
I had made a note, do we want a category for donations or do we have that elsewhere, usually in an agenda?
She
Is,
usually puts this in new
Is
business.
it, okay, new business, okay.
okay, and then
Yeah.
public comment and then adjourn. So, okay, section 1.3, library director and/or designated department head shall attend except during executive sessions.
I think we wanna change executive sessions to non-public.
So-
Don't we?
Well, what do we mean by executive sessions?
I think executive refers to non-public.
So I wanted to recommend, library director shall attend all meetings. In the event the library director is not able to attend, the assistant library director may attend in the director's place. I don't think we need Donna and Megan at every single meeting, especially if they're getting
Are
comp
we talking
time.
about non-publics?
Just the regular meetings. Because if, I mean, Erin's the director, she should know everything
Yeah.
that's going on, so there shouldn't be an additional 2 people here getting comp time.
Well, that's in her job description anyway, right? That's just
Who's?
her,
In-
Erin's.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think-
So she should be aware of everything that Donna and Megan are aware. I don't think they need to be present at the meeting.
I don't mind having them present, maybe they may not have to come to every one, Christine.
Well, if they want to be present but not get comp time for it, I'm fine with that. If they wanted to kind of sit to this, you know what I mean?
Well, I would like to hear from them. I mean, I don't know that I have to hear from them, you know, every time we meet, so maybe they come in every couple of months, because we've started kind of charging them, particularly Donna, with a little more outreach. So I'd kind of like to know how the heck that's going, and if she's doing it.
So do we want to say that,
That is in the report though.
No, I know that, but I want to hear from them.
so Donna and Megan will be notified in advance
Yeah,
to attend?
and so maybe they come every 2 or 3 months,
On an ad-need basis.
you know? And I don't mind paying them, I don't expect them to come to these meetings for free.
No, but I mean, if it's, I mean, technically, it's Erin's job, she should know what's going on, she should know everything that Megan knows, she should know everything that Donna knows.
She should, but I think that she's giving voice to people on her staff, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, but at the same time, like I said, I don't think, I mean, for that matter, why aren't all the other department heads attending? Do you know what I mean? If they're coming, why aren't the rest of them coming
To the library,
to the trustee meetings?
you mean her staff?
Right.
Well, I don't want to hear from all of her employees, so we don't need to do that, but, I mean, if she's got department heads and her assistant, I don't have any trouble hearing from her.
No, but I'm just saying, if Megan's a department head, then why aren't the other department heads here? Why is it just
Isn't she
Megan?
like the head honcho department head? Isn't that what Megan's role is?
I didn't think so.
She's a circulation librarian.
Or maybe we change. I mean, I don't mind.
I mean,
hearing-
we can ask, you know, what,
I don't mind hearing from department heads.
no, I don't either, but I don't think they're needed for every single meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, if we charge them to look into something specific for us, we can let them know ahead of time.
You know what, bring it to the trustees.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, the other part of this too, actually, just now that you're saying that, is we don't wanna pull people off the floor either.
Right,
Because if people are upstairs,
Of
we really
course.
don't wanna do that,
right.
no.
But if they know in advance, people can plan, Erin can plan for her staff.
I mean, because technically, shouldn't there always be a manager upstairs? So if Erin's away, the assistant director should be available should anything
I would
arise.
think, I don't know what her managerial chain is like up there.
But I mean, I would
Yeah,
think that
I mean, I
an
would
assistant
think-
director,
Someone.
she fills in for the director when she's not around.
Because if somebody had a question or something were happening, yeah.
That's
Okay.
fine.
All right, and then I had, okay, so we want to change executive sessions to non-public sessions?
I think so.
Okay. So 1.4, proceedings of all meetings shall be governed by Robert's Rules of Order. I had put in a different 1.4, special meetings may be called at the discretion
Of the chair.
discretion of the chairperson
Yeah.
for the transaction of business as stated in the call for the meeting. So that'd be 1.4, and then the proceedings of all meetings, Robert Rules, that'll be 1.5.
So special meetings may be called by the chairperson. Said chairperson may elect another trustee to contact the board, or at the request of 4 members for the transaction of business as stated in the call for the meeting. In the call, yeah, okay, that's fine. Just,
Yeah,
I needed to hear it out
I
loud.
know, I had to do it too, Moira.
Are you talking about 2.1 now?
24-hour notice is required, but if we are gonna do that, I believe we also have to notice.
Are you on 2.1?
I'm on 2.1, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has to be posted.
Okay,
I believe it does have to be noticed at least 24 hours also.
Correct.
so, I also added in, trustees may appoint a third party to type meeting minutes. Decision will be made by the majority vote of trustees and may be changed at the time upon their choosing. I personally think that the secretary should be doing the meeting minutes.
Yep.
Wait a minute,
Um,
where are you?
It's something new that I was adding
Okay, so
in.
you're proposing like a, okay.
So I know that, Jan allotted $1,000. I don't know where we are on that. I don't remember
It was
how
till
much.
the end of the year, so the timeline is up at this point.
Okay, all right, so we'll just scratch that. I think the secretary should be, there's no reason why the secretary shouldn't be able to do that.
So do you wanna put that in the other section, or do you wanna?
I don't think we should have it at all. I just, I wanted to put it in and, cause that's, but if it was only till the end of the year, that's done and over with anyway. So, like I'm happy to do the meeting minutes for this meeting. All right, so, where are we? So 2.1, there was no changes in that one, correct?
Correct.
Okay. 3.1, annual meeting which shall be for the purpose of the election of officers shall be
Oh.
held.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Can we also just put somewhere in this for meetings, since it pertains to meetings, and I don't know if it'll be in this section or elsewhere, that we're gonna record the meetings?
Oh, yes. Video record.
I also had a question on whether or not we wanted to give, each person who did public comment a time frame.
I don't know that that's something that has to be in your bylaws. I think that could be set by your chair.
But at the same time, you don't want the chair to be changing it from one meeting to another. I think there should be
Chair
a,
can be overridden by the board.
what's that?
The chair can be overridden by the board. So let's just say you have a chair that says public comment 1 minute. The board could go, yeah, man, not so much. I think public comment should be 5 minutes. I think public comment should be 6 minutes. That can be overridden by the chair, or the.
Yeah, but are we gonna argue over that and each meeting on, you know what I mean? How much time is,
It should be set at the annual meeting,
what do you mean set at the
So-
annual meeting?
right here, where we set our meeting for the year. Okay, if you wanna put it in there, then that's where you put it. The chair
Seems
will,
like it's a procedural element.
yeah, the chair will determine public comment procedure, however you wanna word that.
I don't know.
Well, I also had a note here that said, we should specify that, time does not include board questions or responses. And those should be held until the members of the public are finished speaking, or public gets to reclaim the time.
Yeah.
Because I actually saw that in 3 other libraries' bylaws.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a valid point. If we have a static policy, then, you know, it's a little bit clearer than just, hey, if nobody's here, they get half an hour. If 10,000 people are here, you get a minute. And I know it has to vary based off the people, but I thought we could at least say, you know, that the time wouldn't include questions or responses, and that we should hold questions until the end, when the member is finished speaking.
So that individual that is speaking shouldn't ask a question then?
No. The board should hold their questions until the member of the public is
Yeah.
concluding their time.
So you're saying the board should ask questions when the people are finished speaking?
Mhm.
Okay.
Because I remember there was one time where Christine Perez came and asked a question, and I can't remember if it was Kim or Helen were talking, and then all of a sudden her time was up, even though
Yeah.
most of that time was spent by a trustee speaking during her 5 minutes. I didn't think that was fair.
I don't either, and that's the leadership of your chair. That shouldn't happen. That should not happen.
So,
These other libraries experienced the same issue, so I just thought that they added that because of that, and it would just potentially be beneficial for us.
I still think we should add, instead of saying it's up to the chair, I mean, so what happens if we get a chair in March that says, I think we should only have 2 minutes?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Your board can go, we're not gonna have 2 minutes.
So why not just put it in?
Well,
I mean, I think 5 minutes is a fair amount. You know what I mean? And plus, if they're getting public comment in the beginning and the end,
Yeah.
I think it's more than
But
fair, and
I
then,
think what happens, that I've seen a lot, like at the town, is that, and this happened actually when I went and, was there with Aaron presenting the budget, people ask questions and you wanna respond, and then all of a sudden, I mean, that was different because it wasn't public comment, but, and then all of a sudden your time is up.
right,
So, I don't think that there should be a back and forth between, the individual that's speaking and then, somebody on the board wants to respond, because then your time gets sucked up and you're
Right.
that's not fair either.
yeah.
But that also reflects the leadership of your chair, in my opinion.
I also added, just because we had brought this up in a prior meeting, to add some type of privilege that the trustees could invoke so that something can't be voted on until the next meeting, to give time to do research or
Yeah.
whatever they need.
Yep, I agree. All right, so,
So are we moving on from public comment? Is that your point?
No, I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there.
Just thought I'd ask.
so
I
under,
read so many bylaws.
I'm very
I felt like my eyes
sequential,
were
I'm like,
going
all right, we're on this topic, let's get this done.
so
Don't
under,
confuse me.
under regular
I apologize.
meetings, we'll have 5-minute timeline. Trustees to hold questions or comments.
Yep.
Until end of public speaker is done. And what were the other things?
We already have add mandatory public comment at the beginning and end of the meeting.
Yep.
Then I said, each person gets 5 minutes, with the ability to ask for time on the agenda if more time is needed prior to the meeting. And then I also had time does not include board questions or responses, and board questions.
Hold on. Ability to ask for time on the agenda should more time be needed.
Right.
She can text it to you, Christine.
Okay, and then what was the next one?
Take a picture of it.
Time does not include board questions or responses, and those questions should be held until members of the public are finished speaking.
Yep, so I got that. And then what was the other thing about, there was one more thing, I can't remember.
Not the meeting recordings, was it?
No.
No, I got that somewhere else. Okay. So quorum,
Town council privilege is part of
oh,
the
yeah,
meeting
yeah,
thing? Was that what you were talking about?
yes,
What was that?
the town council privilege,
What is that?
that we can, that trustees allowed to postpone a vote by one meeting so they can
Get the details.
get details.
Well, doesn't that speak to having the information before you vote?
It's part of it, but if we ever had something huge that was
Give me an
just
example.
crazy, like if there was all of a sudden our roof caved in and we had a $20 million roof expense or something like that, and we were like, well, we need to look at contracts, or we need to do something. Just in case, it's really just in case something happens where something gets thrown at us, and if we don't wanna vote on it at that moment in time, we can say, I'm invoking this privilege, we're gonna wait until the next meeting to vote on
And
it.
there was something that I actually, when we talked
Yeah,
about
I
this
remember
before,
this.
I don't remember what it was,
you
but we
were-
did
yeah, that's right,
postpone
you
it.
weren't here,
Yeah.
and we
It was a
decided to
policy,
waylay
I
that
believe.
until you came back so that you could speak to it if you chose to.
Yeah, I know, it was before that. It wasn't about the recordings, it was something before
Oh,
that,
I
and
didn't say it was
then,
about the recordings, but there was
Okay.
something that we had on the agenda and you couldn't be at that meeting, and all of us agreed that it should be moved to the next agenda. So
Okay.
that you could speak to it.
all right, okay. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It gives the trustee the option to postpone a vote until the next,
Because you may get your paperwork and your information, which may end up causing new information to be needed based upon what you were given.
right. All right, so we did annual meeting. I think that one's all set. Quorum for the transaction of business at any meeting shall consist of 4 members of the board present. I think that's all set. Go ahead.
I had a quick question also, and this goes back to earlier on. And I apologize, I missed this in my notes. There was when we were talking about some of the financial, I noticed that a lot of libraries had a clause that said that there was a limit on budget line items, where it said that if any expense of any line item exceeded $200, additional transactions would have to be approved by the board because it was over the budget. That was one thing that I had seen in a number of other bylaws. And also trustees review and approve all contracts.
We already do that, don't we?
No. I don't think I've reviewed or approved one contract.
Well, that's a problem.
Exactly.
And I also saw that in a number of libraries, and you guys are gonna have to help me with this one because I'm not quite as familiar with it. They put in a thing stating that the treasurer had to have a bond.
Say that to me again?
They put in a clause saying that one of the duties of the treasurer is that they had to have a bond.
What kind of bond?
Well, I'm assuming it's something to avoid fraud, waste, and abuse.
I'm not worried about that.
That may be in place, just talk to Justin.
I'm not worried about that. But now I'm concerned about contracts. Where the hell should we put that? Sorry.
In my opinion, should kind of be in your purchasing policy.
But shouldn't it be
I think it should be in the
mentioned in the
bylaws,
bylaws too?
Duties and obligations, where is
And if you're going by your purchasing policy, you have in the purchasing policy says that any contracts over X
I
need
think
to
that
be
it should,
approved by the board.
if my opinion matters, I think that it should be in our bylaws as part of our fiduciary responsibility of reviewing budgetary obligations. I mean, you don't know how to budget for something if you don't know what your contracts are.
Right, so review and approve all contracts?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll figure out a spot to throw that in. And what was the other thing that we were just talking about? We're not doing the bond.
Somewhere under Article 2, I would think that would go.
Review and approve.
Are you talking about the budget line item?
Yes.
I'd probably put that under the duties and obligations too.
Yep, duties and obligations.
So how do we want that written though?
If you would like me to get the verbiage that I had from that other, I mean, I just summed it up, but if you want that exact verbiage, I can do that, but it basically said that, if any line item exceeded the amount of $200, further expenditures had to be approved by the Board of Trustees. But I can get the exact verbiage for you if you prefer.
Are you okay with that?
Well, I mean, don't we approve all expenditures now?
No?
Why?
We only approve the expenditures from the 2 accounts that we have. Everything else, we're not.
They can spend money nilly-willy? Yeah, no, that's gonna stop. I think $200 is a little low, but I think that we have to approve expenditures.
And this is only in the instance where they go over budget on the line item.
I don't even care if they go over budget on the line item. I wanna know how much money they're spending.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but
All right.
everything I've gone through, I haven't seen very much.
And we need to put that in these bylaws somewhere.
Okay, so do we want to go with 200 or do we want to?
Because then we'll be, I mean, I don't wanna spend an hour either going through the expenditures. So, I don't know, I think $500 might be appropriate. You know, I mean, I don't know that I wanna see the water bill expense and the electricity expense and all the rest of it, but, I'd like to know how they're spending their money, our money.
Well, wouldn't that be in the financial breakdown that we get every month?
I've never seen anything.
Well, that's what we requested it in
Oh, okay,
here.
I see what you're saying, okay,
Should be.
okay, all right.
It should be, but if we have a crazy line item that's like 160% of budget or something, I certainly think we need to look at that.
I do too.
But, I mean, to Nancy's point, I mean, shouldn't we be looking at everything?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm
So,
not disputing that. I'm just
No,
saying
okay.
that's why it said for every line item, the second it went over budget and the second was over a certain dollar amount. If you want to do 500, I'm fine with that. I just think that we should know if things are going over budget and if we have wacky, maybe there's a reason why one year, but maybe there's something else going on. Maybe all of a sudden subscriptions goes through the roof or just whatever. I think
Okay.
we should know that.
So you'll get me the language for that?
I sure can.
Okay. Alright, so we did quorum.
And you got the contracts, approving contracts,
Yep.
correct?
Yep, I'll figure out where to
It's down
throw
the
that
bottom.
in. So voting. An affirmative vote of the majority of all members of the board present at the time shall be necessary to approve any action before the board, including temporary suspension of any rule, policy, resolution, or bylaw.
Yep, I would just like to add in here that anyone can call a roll call vote at any time.
What would the purpose that do?
Are you talking about like calling the question or something else?
No. So, I think that sometimes it's important to call a roll call vote so that the public can absolutely know how we are voting on specific items.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, now that it'll be video recorded, they could look at it as well.
Right.
But, I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, that's something that the secretary could be capturing as well, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Bylaws may be amended by a majority vote of all members of the board present, and voting provided written notice of the proposed amendment shall have been mailed/presented to all members at least 10 days prior to a meeting at which such action is proposed to be taken.
Okay.
I was looking at some of them, and a lot of the other libraries had to be noticed at the prior meeting as opposed to 10 days. That was the only thing that I had noted that was different.
Is there an RSA on that?
I don't believe there's an RSA, but I mean, if it's 10 days, I mean, you may not get something. I just don't know that anybody would see it. And you want to make sure that there's enough time for someone to do an adequate review.
Okay. Are you comfortable changing it to the meeting?
Yeah.
So
Meeting before,
for
meeting prior.
members,
Yep.
one meeting prior. Okay, so I have a couple new things.
For this subsection under voting?
Yes. So section 3, I have employment related to trustees. I got this from another bylaw, I believe it was Salem's. No member of trustees' immediate family, mother, father, spouse, or child, shall be currently employed or hired by the library during said trustee's term of office.
I think we have to be careful with that because we have a town clerk, do we not, who for years reported to the town chair and they're married.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we want to go down that road. Particularly since we try to model ourselves after the town.
True.
Well, do you want to do something instead of saying family members? Do you want to say something like regarding conflicts of interest?
So how would that read? No member of a trust.
Maybe you have to do like a disclosure or something?
I think that if a member of the board of trustees has an obvious and noticeable conflict of interest, they should absolutely recuse themselves. And I don't think
Okay.
there's anything wrong with, if an individual doesn't recuse themselves, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone calling them out and saying, shouldn't you recuse yourself on that? That's how I feel about that.
So recuse themselves from any
Sorry.
conflict of interest.
Mercy.
Okay. So section 4, trustee resource documents. This is my new section. Newly elected trustees shall receive a welcome packet of information provided by the secretary with the following information: Leach Library Board of Trustees, bylaws, organization chart to list all library employees and positions, Robert Rules of Order, RSA 91A, New Hampshire Right to Know. There was a PowerPoint file that we received that had great information on it. Copy of library director's contract and/or letter of hire, and copy of director's performance review sheet, which needs to be updated.
Personnel policy?
Oh yeah, we should put down all policies, copy of all policies. I thought I had that in there. What's that?
Can we do that?
Sure.
What, to put in a copy of all
Copy to
policies?
review?
I didn't hear what she said. What did she say? Do what?
I'm just asking if we can put in a copy of the review because it's kind of sensitive information.
That is sensitive.
No, I just meant to, a copy of the performance
Oh, the
review
sheet.
sheet.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so,
The model? that we
yes,
use.
you're not getting thrown at it during the meeting saying like, hey, you need to
Okay.
write this up type of thing.
Then just
Um,
put blank.
Okay.
Yeah, link review, yeah.
And we have to update that too. 'cause it's really
Yeah.
Quite frankly, if we have a new trustee that doesn't have a library card, I think we should buy it for him.
I'm sorry, what?
If we have a new trustee that doesn't have a library card, I think we should buy one for them.
But we don't charge town residents.
They charge me.
Did you get charged for a library
I
card?
was charged for a library card. That was a long time ago, though. I mean, they don't charge me to renew it, but yeah, I've been charged.
I've had one for a million years. So
What?
Said I've had one for a million years. I don't remember ever paying for it.
Maybe that was a
Kid's
rookie.
card.
I'm not so sure you can even do that with private.
Maybe I should sue. I'll file a 91A, damn it. I'm gonna figure out why I got charged.
You should. I have to pay for the USBs that I get every week.
You should not have to.
That's good to know. All right, so no, that's all good information.
Okay. So NHLTA, membership in the New Hampshire Library Trustee Association for all trustees shall be provided for in the library budget. I don't think we should pay for,
I don't have any trouble with this because I think that this is the resource that we can contact for trustee training, professional development, resources, et cetera. So I don't have any trouble with this membership.
okay.
Do you want to add the state library as a resource also?
Yes, that would be great.
So, membership and the New Hampshire Library Trustee Association shall be provided for all in this library budget. So where am I at?
So you could also put like a 1.2 and just say, New Hampshire State Library Association, also an available resource for library trustees or something to that effect.
Yep.
And where the library would pay for that? Or is that
I
free?
don't think that's a charge.
I think that if you're a member and you're looking for support or resources, they don't charge you for that. I could be wrong.
So I can just put in as support, but we don't have to say like membership will be provided for in the budget.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to retitle this, you could retitle it,
Oh, wait a minute.
library organizations as resources.
Why don't we
and then you
want to
could say
provide for
dues.
this in the budget?
What's that?
I said, why don't we want to provide for this in the budget?
It is.
Okay, well, she was just saying you don't want to?
Yeah, I didn't think we,
Yeah. Well, I think that if we're going to start holding our trustees more accountable and asking for training and for them to be up to speed and, you know, we need resources for professional development, I think it should be provided in the budget.
okay. So, but if we're adding the State Library Association as,
You could also put it under your resources section if you wanted to.
okay, yeah, I think that
Yeah,
makes more
that would
sense.
make more sense.
All right. Standards, it is stated goal of the board to achieve at a minimum the public library standards for associate libraries as adopted by the New Hampshire State Library Council. It is the board's long-range goal to meet the standards for certified and accredited libraries.
You could put that under the resources too, actually. Because I don't recall ever receiving anything of that nature. I don't even
I haven't either.
recall seeing any list or any type of anything.
Cooperation with other libraries, it is stated
Yep.
goal of the board to cooperate with the town school libraries and other libraries and to participate in the interlibrary loan program.
We should put in here that they should cooperate with us too.
Well, if they're not cooperating with us, then we shouldn't with them.
I know, well, some of, I mean, most of them are. All right.
All right, that's the end. Come on up.
Hold on, I just wanna double check all my notes, just to make sure there's nothing that I missed. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, my knee's stiff, it's gonna take a while.
Happens.
I did say in here that, members of the board have until 36 hours before meeting to add an agenda item.
I'm okay with
And
that.
I also had establish and review MOUs with groups like Friends of the Library as part of the bylaws.
Okay, hold on, 36 hours in advance. Is there something in here now that gives us a time limit to put something on the agenda?
I don't
No,
think it
but
really
here-
says
here-
anything,
but
because it has
here's-
to be noticed.
But here's the thing, if it requires a document that I have to read, I might want a little more notice than that.
It's kind of giving a minimum to make sure
Okay.
that you can post it publicly, because
Okay.
every meeting has to be noticed to the public.
No, I know that.
So it's just kind of saying you must do it within
Okay,
such and such.
that's fine.
Okay, and then what was the other one?
Establish and review MOUs, which are memorandums of understanding with groups like Friends of the Library that work with the library towards shared goals.
And who's responsible for that?
Who would be responsible for bringing us the MOUs?
Or, yeah, meeting with the Friends of the Library or other,
Well, I don't think it would be a horrible idea to have a Friends of the Library liaison come to the meetings either, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to get someone to come. But we should be reviewing memorandums of understanding because they're supposed to be an arm.
but we don't have any, that's what I'm saying. So if we're going to adopt that, we need to assign a person to that to make sure it gets done.
Speaking of them, Friends of the Library, are they in 501c3?
According to the chair, no. Which is unfortunate because they could apply for community grants if they were.
Right.
Well, what about the, I
Chair?
would say the obvious would be the chair or the
Right.
secretary.
Okay,
Really, but I think we need to have that in place because we can't have these like willy-nilly, everybody just does whatever they want kind of stuff. We need a modicum of
Structure.
organization.
okay. All
I'm
right,
done now.
okay.
I know. I'll be official. Richard Belinsky, 89 Hall Road. Thank you, ladies, for this, because this is really needed. There's some
Yes.
serious issues going on. Just a couple things I want to bring up. 3.6, you brought up, missed 3 consecutive meetings on removal of a trustee.
Yep,
I'm usually somebody who's really restrictive on things. I think this should be 3 consecutive unexcused missed. What if somebody went in and had surgery? And they're gonna miss 3 meetings, you're gonna throw them off for that? I think it re- Well, you know what I'm saying.
yep, no, that
I think
makes
it needs
sense.
to be
I think we could
unexcused,
perhaps say at the discretion of the board.
or the discretion of the board, something to that effect. This is just too quick, you missed 3 meetings. I know when I had open heart surgery, I wasn't supposed to go anywhere for 12 weeks.
Okay, yeah, that
You
makes
know, I'm
sense.
just saying,
That's fine.
that's 1. 2, Nancy might beat up on me on this one a little bit. I do not agree with the library card being required to be a trustee. It is not required that you have one to be a trustee.
I understand.
So you can't put that restriction on somebody, they get elected, and you say, oh, you don't have a library card, you're out. You
No, I
can't
was
do
gonna
that.
say that. I didn't say that. I think
Okay.
that.
Maybe I
think that
misunderstood.
They have to, once they get on the board, it would be highly advisable.
Well, that's
For
fine.
them to get one.
So
Because I think
recommended
that's
or mandatory, so advisable or what are we doing with
You
that?
really can't put it
I'm
in
not
there
sure
unless
that you
it,
can
it's either
enforce
you're
it.
gonna require them to or not.
I just think that's a bad look. I do.
But I know as much, I'll pat myself on the back, the few months I've been involved in this, I brought up a lot of stuff they had no clue over. I probably know more than most of the board members, because I researched it. I don't have a library card. So if I ran, you're gonna tell me, you know,
Well, you
you
should
really
get
should?
one.
I don't need one.
Well, you should get one.
I don't need one.
Well, what about
I've never
people who
had
don't read physical books? They just read, they
Why don't they wanna come to
read.
the library and take out a puzzle? What are we gonna do with our senior citizens when we hopefully get our senior program?
I am a senior citizen.
What are we gonna do when we start shipping you your books?
I don't read. I don't enjoy reading. No, just being
Only
honest,
this stuff.
Well, this, yes, because this is information. I just don't, to read a novel is not me. It never
I think the board can
has been.
decide that.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
But I think
'cause
you'll get yourself in a legal pickle with that if you make it mandatory. So if you're gonna advise, don't even bother putting it in there, because it's not a good look, in my eyes. You're pressuring somebody to do something they may not wanna do.
yeah,
Well, it's also not required for someone to walk in and just read.
Correct. And it's not required to run for the position. I'm getting a little nitpicky, I do see your point,
Thank
But
you, I
let's,
appreciate that.
you know, but let's
Because
not,
again, I just think that's a bad look.
yeah, but let's not put something in there that, one, you're not gonna be
but
able to
how,
enforce.
but how would you know that if the person has or doesn't have it, if that's
You just
private
ask them.
information? But that's private information, why
So
should,
you can say I don't have to answer that question.
okay, so, but then why are we putting it in there if that person doesn't
Well,
have
she's
to
just
answer that?
suggesting, it doesn't mean you
I
have
mean,
to.
why wouldn't we want a trustee to have a library card?
Maybe they read online, maybe they do Kindle instead
I'd
of.
rather have a trustee that understands the bylaws, the state laws, the,
Then that trustee needs to
that-
come into the
but they
library
don't
and look
need
it
to.
all up.
wait until the next trustee meeting when I bring up
Well,
something
then they
that's
get a
gonna
card.
knock the shots.
Right.
But if they don't need one, then we shouldn't force them to get
We're
one.
not forcing, strongly suggesting, advising. And if they don't have one, we should just give them one, in my opinion. And the board can
What do you,
decide that.
what do you think?
I don't know that it's enforceable, because, well, I mean, I don't know, I've never been charged for a library card, so I was surprised to hear that you were, but
2006, I got charged for a library card.
if
How
there
come
is a
you all didn't
charge,
get
I
charged
don't
for a
know that we can
library card?
enforce it, just because I don't think
Pay
we
your
can
taxes that year?
I did.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
make someone buy something for an elected
Maybe I'm kind of
office.
rookie.
I mean, if you wanna put it in that it's, we advise, or we suggest.
I think that's a
something
bad
like
look to
that.
even be in there.
We'll let the board decide that.
okay.
I mean, I don't,
Because if you
I
put
think
it in
the,
there, I tell you, I'll be fighting that, because I think it's wrong.
Go right ahead.
And I'm usually right on these
We'll let the
things.
board decide.
But the board can't put in something that is not legal. And that's not legal. Otherwise, it'd be a requirement to run for the position.
We might want to get an opinion on that. I'm
I
just
don't
joshing.
need an opinion on
I'm
it, I've
just
already
joshing.
looked it up.
All right, I'm not feeling great. What else you got?
I know.
wanna
No,
go
that's it.
home. Okay.
That's it.
All right, I will do my best
All right.
to get these
that's the thing with
incorporated.
public comment, Rich?
Excuse me?
You're done with your public comment?
Oh, yeah, hold on.
Okay, just checking, making sure.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second, everyone, aye?
Aye.
Okay,
When
thank
do we
you.
have any other meeting?
Oh, we have to have another one?
No,
no,
I mean
I'll-
for the job description.
Oh,